Hi everybody, my name's Taylor and this video is going to be talking about how I went vegetarian for a month. So to start things off, this video was part of a project that I'm doing for my Geography of Food class, where a lot of the class was focused on where we get our food, how food is prepared, the nutrition value of a bunch of our food, and how switching up your diet can affect not only your health, it can also affect your impact on the environment. So for those of you that don't know me, I already don't eat beef. I have not eaten beef or had beef in my diet for almost 2 years now, as well as the fact that I try to avoid pork as much as possible, but for personal relationship reasons, I do eat pork every so often. Aside from that, my regular diet for the past 2 years has consisted of chicken, turkey, fish, animals that my dad hunts, anything like that. I try to source my food as locally as possible, just so that way I can have better research on how things are killed and prepared and how their life was leading up to being slaughtered, for lack of a better word, I guess. And I thought that for this project, as mostly a health thing, as a dietary thing, how being vegetarian would impact my personal body diet and health. So I have a few clips to show you based off of some of the things that I did throughout the month, and I'll cut to that.
So to start off for the month, I really wanted to try and focus on making my own healthier snacks. I am a substitute teacher, so part of my regular problem with teaching was that I didn't know if I had a job until the morning of, and I ended up eating really poorly throughout the day. I found that this didn't change a ton throughout the month, but at the beginning of the month, I did pretty good. I started off by making these kale chips. I found a recipe on allrecipes.com, I think. And it was just focusing on just being able to make a healthier version of your local ready-made like potato chips. So that's where I started off. I got a pretty big bundle of kale from my local Safeway. I'm pretty sure this was locally grown as well, so I felt really good about that. So I just started off with that, and they ended up being okay. But I'll just let you watch and we'll see where we go. Now, for those of you that cook on your own and like make your own kale chips, make your own everyday snacks, I don't know about you, but seasoning anything is my absolute favorite thing to do in the world. So I actually really enjoyed making these kale chips. I used a little bit less olive oil than what they asked me to in the recipe, just because I didn't want them to be super greasy. And then on top of that, I used some loose chili flakes, black pepper, salt, and I think I might have used a little bit of garlic as well. So as you can see, I'm using some Himalayan pink salt, and as much as I love salty foods, I put way too much salt on these chips. And I think if we wait a second, yeah, I go right back in with even more salt. I probably put like 2 tablespoons, like full tablespoons of this in, mostly just because I was eyeballing it. The pepper, I'd say, was a good amount. I think I went in a couple times with it, yep. The chili flakes, I definitely went in too much with the chili flakes. These chips were so spicy, but on top of it being too spicy, the salt was just so much. So once my kale chips were all seasoned and ready to go, the recipe called for me putting them onto a piece of parchment paper and then just popping them into the oven for, I think it was about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, something around that. So while my kale chips were in the oven, I went ahead and started on another recipe for these fun little granola balls. They initially asked for peanut butter, but I really do not like peanut butter, so I decided to use Nutella instead. These were actually also very fun to make. It stood for rolled oats, which we have lots of because my mom eats oatmeal in the morning. Some chocolate chips. I think I used a little bit less than the recipe called for because I will go crazy with chocolate chips when given the choice. And then it had to do with some Nutella, some honey, and oh yeah, some vanilla as well. And it was just a really nice recipe to make. Once I finished mixing my ingredients, I just put some oil on my hands to make sure that the dough, I suppose, wouldn't stick to my fingers while I was rolling them. These are just called granola balls. They were very simple to make, which was really nice as somebody who does not like very high maintenance recipes. So I made these into little bite-sized balls, and then I just put them onto a silicone baking sheet that we have. Once I was done rolling them, I just popped them in the freezer for about half an hour, 45 minutes, and my kale chips were also done at the same time. So here you can see I'm trying them, and I'm playing it off, but they were super salty. Okay, so I am sitting here in the Safeway parking lot, and a part of this experiment that I'm doing, going vegetarian for a month, has to do with looking at how does my daily routine differ from switching immediately from an omnivorous diet to a vegetarian diet. So I'm subbing today, and it is currently lunchtime, and usually on my lunch when I sub, I end up getting something from some kind of restaurant. And since most of the restaurants in my city do not have a ton of vegetarian options, I'm gonna go into Safeway and see what they can offer me for a vegetarian lunch. So I went out for lunch again today. I wasn't super hungry. I'm currently at work, so I just went to Safeway and I got myself a Starbucks and a piece of lemon loaf. So vegetarian, obviously, but still quite high in sugar content. So I think that's something that I'm going to have to start keeping in mind a little bit more as I continue with this project. So I don't have work today. I'm just working on some homework for college and university. But I am feeling quite tired right now. And normally if I was tired at currently 12 o'clock, I would probably just eat something very, very sugary, like a pop, or going to get something from a fast food restaurant. However, I did make those little energy balls from the beginning of my video, which I'm hoping will be enough sugar to be able to get me up and ready to study. So I'm gonna have one of those and then I'll come back and update. So let's talk climate change. Forbes magazine says that climate scientists have warned that dairy and cattle farming is not only unsustainable, but it's also a significant source of increased greenhouse gas production. They found that meat and dairy industries create 7.1 gigatons of greenhouse gases, with beef being the main culprit, and beef generates 60 kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions per kilogram of meat produced. Meat production is also a large reason for the increase in deforestation that's destroyed multiple vital biodiverse ecosystems, which are responsible for containing millions of tons of CO2. So when these habitats are then destroyed to make way for cattle ranges, farming industries, just general agriculture needs, all of this CO2 is then released into the atmosphere and contributes to the warming of the planet. The New York Times also found that the world's food system is responsible for about 1/4 of the planet warming greenhouse gases that humans generate each year, with livestock accounting for around 14.5% of the world's greenhouse gases per year. New York Times also has a very informative quiz called "How Does My Diet Contribute to Climate Change?" And it's a really interesting look. It gives you how you contribute to climate change based on your diet from low to high, as well as some information about what your diet can be doing to your body, to the environment, and the percentage that your diet contributes to climate change. So I will be putting that in the description of this video. So in my journey to find foods that I like that are not insanely unhealthy, like what I would usually eat, like when I had cravings for snacks, I would usually get something sweet or chips or anything like that. I have found that I really enjoy naan bread and tzatziki or hummus. And this is what I've been snacking on for a good 5 days at least whenever I have a craving. And it's filling, it's good. I know that the naan bread isn't the best in terms of caloric intake, but in terms of reducing my sugar or manufactured snack intake,
I think I have found something that's really good for me. So there we go.
So it is currently March 10th, so we are almost 2 weeks into this process. Something that's always been hard for me, and I know that this may seem very strange to some people, is that I don't drink water all that often. For lack of a better understanding, it tastes weird to me, and I've never been somebody to drink a healthy amount of water. Like, yeah, I'm a dehydrated person. However, I've been finding that instead of drinking iced tea or juices or pop to fix my quench for something, I have been like I've been wanting to drink water more. Thankfully, we have a water filter. We have a Brita filter because our house is old and we're not entirely sure what's going on with the pipes and how the water is being filtered through that. But I've been finding that I've been wanting to drink water a lot more. So since the beginning of this process, I've really gone from drinking maybe like 2 glasses of water a week, simply out of necessity for knowing that I needed to survive, to drinking like an entire, here, let me grab I've been drinking like an entire, I think it's 16, no, it's definitely more than that. I think it's about 30 ounces. I've been drinking at least 30 ounces of water, probably 3 or 4 times a week. And if I'm not drinking this, I'm drinking some kind of, if I'm not drinking water, then I'm drinking some kind of like green tea, iced tea water mixture. Okay, so I wanted to make a general observation, and this next short clip that I'll show you might be a little bit gross, so I'll tell you what's going on first. So I haven't eaten anything today. It is currently about 3:30, 3:45. I haven't eaten anything today except for the breakfast that I had this morning, which is a bowl of cereal, and it was probably around 9 o'clock. However, I did go to Starbucks and I did get my usual drink, which is a peach green tea iced tea. And I'm fully aware that there's quite a bit of sugar in that. But prior to me going to Starbucks, I brushed my teeth like you would. And I'm gonna show you a close-up clip of my tongue so you can see how the sugar from my drink has allowed the increased production of bacteria on the surface of my tongue. So I'm gonna flip the camera and I'll give you guys a look. Alright, so I know that was a little bit gross, but that's an observation that I made only today, and I've been having those drinks probably like 3 times a week at least. And like, that's something I haven't thought about before, is the amount of sugar has actually increased the bacteria production on the surface of my tongue. So if you were able to make it through that little clip, maybe keep that in mind when you drink or eat very sugary foods. So throughout the whole month, I was doing really well. We ended up taking a trip down south to see some family, and I was doing so well. I was so proud of myself for getting my own tofu, and my parents helped out a ton with finding new plant-based foods that I could try throughout the month, and everything was going wonderful and everything was healthy. And then we got in the truck to come back to my town, and I cheated. We stopped at a McDonald's and I got really excited and I was so hungry. And something that we learned very well in this class is that the smell of food can have an entirely different impact on you than just the taste of food. So walking into this McDonald's
and smelling the french fries and smelling the chicken and smelling the burgers, I got overwhelmed and I ordered myself chicken nuggets. But other than that, didn't cheat for the whole month, and I was really good. Even after that, I reprimanded myself and I was like, no, okay, we're sticking to these last like 5 or 6 days or whatever it was, and I am not even going to look at meat. So over this past month, from March 1st to March 30th, I did my best to track any little like wellness things that I noticed while I was vegetarian. Some things that I did notice were I'd say overall feel like I was eating healthier, and I did actually lose 3 pounds throughout the month, and obviously I can't entirely say whether or not that was solely going towards a vegetarian diet, but the thing is that I wouldn't do this again. And the reason for that is because when I was vegetarian, sure, I ate plant-based things and I ate just avoided meat overall, of course, but I also ate horribly. I already don't eat the best. I have an insatiable sweet tooth, and it gets me in trouble sometimes, but that really came out in this month, and I'm not sure if it's because as a picky eater I felt like I didn't have as much at my disposal for when I was snacking. I will say that I was snacking less, but I think the reason for that is because when I did snack, it was on unhealthy foods. I'm talking like chips, candy, sodas, just anything under the sun that wasn't a meat product but had sugar fats in it. So what ended up happening was that I was eating less, but I was eating worse. And some of you may hear me say that and think, oh, well, like, you're eating less, at least that's something. But it's hard to understand when eating less becomes too much. So the main points that I want to make in this video is that vegetarianism is an amazing diet. It's an amazing concept. Not only can it benefit your own health if you don't already have any underlying health risks when it comes to a very low protein diet, it's also amazing for the environment. If you go vegetarian or vegan, your carbon footprint is basically guaranteed to drop a couple percentages at least. As somebody who still will not eat beef or pork, I know that my carbon footprint is already much lower than somebody who does. And I don't say that to shame anybody, but it is a common fact when it comes to how cattle and how pig are raised, slaughtered, and treated in farms and such. However, even if I won't be going onto a vegetarian diet, I have found that I like tofu. I like making healthier snacks for myself to eat throughout the day. I will probably bring some vegetarian options into my personal relationships. I'll probably make them for my family. I'll do whatever I can to input myself into a vegetarian diet. But for me personally, keeping some source of protein like chicken or turkey or fish or moose or whatever it is, that is what's healthiest for me. And at the end of the day, whatever diet is healthiest for you is the most important diet for you. So I hope this video is able to give you guys some insight as to what being vegetarian means. Perhaps it'll inspire you to go watch other people who are vegetarian, who have tried being vegetarian. I hope that it'll make you look at your own diet and think, hey, is this good for me? Is this good for the environment? Is this good for my financial setting? Anything like that. And I hope that overall this video just educates you, even just a little bit. So with that, I'm gonna let you go. Thank you for watching this. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you later. Bye.